Well, hello. Welcome to Life's Co-Pilots new event. We have an event today on basically helping to support family members and caregivers, taking care of family members. And we're going to really focus on the programs of Adult Day, which I don't think a lot of people know a lot about, and also respite care, which may not be something a lot of people know a lot about. So I'm going to do a real quick screen share first, kind of show you what we have coming up, and then we'll do an introduction to our panel and go from there. So hang on just for a second here. Where's my screen share? Here we go. So screen share, basically on Life's Co-Pilot, if you ever want to see what upcoming events are going on, you just click on events. And today what we have is we have the family caregivers through Adult Day and Respite Care. And we have Josh Dickey with Rose Senior Living. We have Julie Ray with Stillwater's Adult Day. We have Megan Smith with the Golden Gardens. And I'll have you tell the title of your association as well, because I blanked for a second. And then Regina Smith with the Indiana Adult Day. And somewhere out there in cyberspace is Tina McIntosh with Joy's House. We've been trying to connect on that. So I will be working with her, try to find her as well. So in any case, let's get back to the to all you all. Okay, so let me introduce everybody. Megan, right now, for some weird reason, Zoom has you as the main focus person. So I'll let you start. Tell me who you are, what you do, and both, and you're going to get to talk about both where you work and then both your the association as well. So get us kicked off here. Your sound's not on.
Okay, how about that?
There you go.
All right, thank you so much for having me. I am Megan Smith. I work for Golden Gardens Adult Day Center. We're kind of on the east side off Midhofer and 25th Street. I am the Community and Development Coordinator for Golden Gardens, which means I wear many hats. I do a lot of the HR, the go-between between Medicaid and the seniors, the participants, a lot of kind of inside stuff that we have to do there. A lot of the marketing too, which is kind of gone downhill, unfortunately. But I'm also the president of the Indiana Association of Adult Day Services as well. And so currently we are gearing up for our conference. Our annual conference is virtual this year, which is going to be really exciting. We have a lot of interesting people going to be on the conference speakers and some vendors as well. It is November 10th, 11th, and 12th. And you're welcome to sign up at iads.net and sign up from there. It's pretty reasonably priced. And we are also working with the Department on Aging. We actually just spoke with them today, and they are able to get us, for Adult Day Services, more funding for the months of March, August, and September. So that's brand new, just came out today. So we're really excited about that as well. And then other than that, we're just trying to amp up our advocacy and awareness to make home and community-based services, more of a forethought than an afterthought for a lot of our caregivers here. So
very good. By the way, put your event on Life's Co-Pilot so people know where it is and what's going on too. So go to the events page and stick that in there. If you have questions, let me know. I'll have to do it. Okay.
Okay.
So right now, Regina, you're off on the left here, so I'm gonna let you come on next here. So.
All righty. Hey, Tina, good to see you. So I am Regina, and I am the VP of People Operations at Independent Adult Day Centers. And so my role has changed many times since I've been there. So this last promotion has granted me all of the things that I did when I first started and some more. So I am still definitely close to the adult day services as far as advocating for our guests and caregivers and getting guests in the center. So I'm heavy into marketing. When I first started, I was the ED, and then I left for a short span of time, and then I came back in marketing. And so my most recent role has been in marketing. And which, my claim to fame is that I'm not a marketer, but I love relationship building. And so it has been phenomenal for me to learn to build relationships with all of you and other community partners. So that's what I do. Is just continue to build these strong relationships with folks like you guys, and with other caregivers, and with hospitals and doctors, and just people out in the community, and bring insight to what we do as an adult day. And so our adult day is probably a little different from the adult days that are on the panel here, because we are a medical model. And being a medical model, we offer healthcare coordination, which is a huge um, seller for us as far as respite care for caregivers is concerned, because we take that whole burden off of the caregiver, as far as coordinating that care, getting our guests to and from the doctor's appointments, or even some of their social service appointment. Which also, another hat that I wear is I am a social worker. I'm a geriatric social worker. Um, so I spend a lot of times in home, assessing homes for safety, assessing guests for safety, um, seeing what other services that our guests could utilize, home modifications and things like that. So in addition to all of that, I also am do all of our employee training as far as meeting the standards of operations. So I oversee some part of the operations, which is your people operations. So I do see some part, oversee quite a bit of the training that our staff gets. And I also do home training with our caregivers, modifying their homes and showing them how to live within their home environment. And so, we have lifestyle enrichment, we have healthcare coordination, we have transportation, which is another big plus for us, because a lot of caregivers don't want to, or not able to, or it's just kind of cumbersome to drive their loved ones around. So we are able to pick them up and bring them to our centers, and take them back home. Um, and some other stuff. We have lots of things. And so I won't give it all away in the whole 30 minutes.
How many centers do you have, and where
We
are
have
they?
we have 3 locations, one in Fishers, one on the northwest side, and then one on Shelby, Shelby and Raymond. Yeah, and we also are just in any day now, we'll be launching our home health care. So
Very good.
yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to you having more events at your location, so I can feed my wife again, because she always gets excited when I bring home food from one of your events.
This
So,
new chef is amazing. This new chef, oh my God.
yeah. So it always makes me popular. One day I came home with a big bouquet and that, and I was like, I'm all set. So like,
You can come for lunch anytime.
yeah. So, all right. So Julie, please fill us in on Stillwater.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm Julie Ray. I work for Stillwater's Adult Day Center. We have 2 locations. Our Castleton location is at 71st and Shadeland, and our Eastgate Center is at 16th and Franklin. We are, the typical adult day center. We offer supervision and stimulation during the day for adults, so that they can then go at home with their family and friends in the evening. What makes us a little different from the other centers is that we are a ministry of Castleton United Methodist Church. So we do have that Christian aspect to our program. We do a daily devotion every morning, and then we have a chapel service once a month for the participants, because that's one thing that we've noticed. Their families, sometimes can't get them out to church on the weekends as they used to. So we try to give them that. We have really good activities with the COVID restrictions. That has changed a little bit, but we've been bringing our music therapy and our dance and movement in through Zoom, and that's been working fairly well. But we are a level 2, so we are a medical model, but not as much as independent. As we do have an RN on staff, and we're able to dispense medications and do that to help the families. And we do some healthcare coordination. We did more when we were closed for COVID. But we're just glad to be a part of this panel tonight and to tell a little bit more about what we do.
Excellent. Well, you brought something up. I'm going to stop right there and pick on you for just a second. We in this industry, just like every industry, we speak in our own language. Okay. So what is a level 1, a level 2, a level 3, a level whatever? How many levels are they? And what do they do? And I have to admit, because like, for instance, for me, we have one of the companies we have is Caring Transitions, where we help people clean out. And we were told that it was an all hands on deck because we had a level 5 hoarder. I'm like, what's a level 5 hoarder? So I had to Google level 5 and I'm like, oh, the worst. Okay. So it was like, that was kind of, I learned something, from Google before I went out to do the job. So anyway, so help us out with that.
So there's 3 levels. Level 1 is more of a social model. It's a great model. It helps a lot of people. It's a very good model for adult day services. Level 2, which is what both of our centers are, we can, like I said, we can dispense medications. We can, I'm going to need a little bit of help from everyone here because I'm off my marketing spiel a bit, but we do not do things like a trach. We, at this point, do not do any G tubes. We do a 1-person assist in and out of a vehicle, in and out of the restroom. We give showers. The nurse, can work with the families and, talk with the doctor about things that are needed. Then level 3, I'm going to let Regina talk a little bit more about that.
I had to unmute myself. Yeah, so level 3 is all encompassing of what you just said with level 2, except for the diagnoses are a little bit more severe, and we do take those guests who are living with the end stages, so to speak, of their diagnosis, or we do take G tubes. We do take guests that are 2 persons assisted, need Hoyer lift. We suction out, we tube feed. We do also offer the bathing services, shower services, because some people we can't put in a tub. So we do have the capability of showering them as opposed to, submerging them in the water. So with those different levels, whether it's cognitively or physical, they're just more, they just need more skilled care than level 2, and medications. And, that's part of the healthcare coordination piece. So, when we take them to the doctor, we take all of their machinery, everything with them, oxygen, because we also have guests that are on oxygen and all of that good stuff.
Thank you. Well, I just knew that I would forget to go back to that. So I thought while I was here, we would.
Yeah, but I'm not familiar with a level 5.
I'm talking about level 5 was a hoarder thing. That was a whole different ballgame. And you don't want to see it. I'm going to tell you that right now. You do not want it in your life.
That was a Google definition.
Yeah. So, Tina, would you fill us in? So.
Sure. I am with Joy's House. Our mission is twofold. So both adult day services and caregiver support services. We have 2 locations, one in Broad Ripple and one at the University of Indiana, of Indianapolis. And I've been doing this for 21 years at this point. So for a minute. And that's the short on us. What else do you want to know?
Well, I was going to say, tell me, 21 years. I mean, are you the first adult day in town, or were you?
No,
early?
People have asked that even about the state of Indiana, and the first in the state of Indiana was in the southern part. It was McMillan Adult Day Services, and they have been around since I think 1983.
Oh, really?
Just a few years ago, yeah. So Adult Day Service has been around for a long time. When I look around the room, who's on the call, we were here before any of the adult days on the call. So I remember going into a room, Jim, and saying, 50 people might be there for a speaking engagement. And I'd say, how many people have heard of Adult Day? Like one person was like, maybe, and now it's great because of marketing efforts of everybody who's here and other members of the IADS, the state association. You go in a room of 50 and you ask how many have heard, and most of the people in the room raise their hands. And so we're actually very blessed that a couple of the organizations on the call, we were able to help put them through a startup training. And it's been really great to see just all the incredible work they're doing and the lives they change. So not the oldest, but starting to feel kind of old myself.
I wasn't
It's
talking about
happening.
you. I was talking about your longevity, so yeah. Whatever. Well, excellent. Josh, now we're going to change gears a little bit because we've been talking about adult day. You are in the senior living communities, but you offer respite. Could you fill us in on who you are and what you guys do?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, my name is Josh. So I am the marketing director at Rose Senior Living in Carmel, and we are pretty much a newer building. I mean, we've been there for 2.5 years now, still one of the newest buildings actually in Hamilton County. But again, like you said, Jim, we're on the other spectrum on things. So what we do is we offer the respite care. And actually, at Rose Senior Living, I don't know if any of you guys have been out to Rose, but we are such a new building, modern. It's a hip looking building. And we try to do a little things different than most other buildings. We found that a lot of places are very institutional. So we've gotten away from that. So when people come to our building, they don't even realize that it's a senior community. They think it's an upscale apartment complex. So it's really cool to see people when I get to do tours, not with COVID, obviously, but before that, seeing their faces when they come in to say, oh my gosh, this building's amazing. And what do you offer? So I don't like to use the word respite. I like to call it bed and breakfast.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it's really cool. And people like the sound of it because especially, seniors that say, I need a little assistance. So let's come to our assisted living bed and breakfast and stay for a couple of days where we have that 24 hours care. All meals are included in the prices. And what's really cool is we offer it not only in the assisted living, but as well as memory care. And we do as independent living as well.
Very good. Well, I will tell you, if you've not been to Rose, it reminds me of Ironworks Hotel. It's pretty nice. So anyway, so it could be a lot worse. So okay. Speaking of this, we're basically looking at trying to help out the families that are being caregivers. They're trying to keep mom and dad at home. They're trying to juggle that and work and families and sandwich generations and all those things. I would assume that's a lot of your clientele, if I'm not off here. So one of the things, the reason I want these kind of events out here, I want people to be aware of what services are available and what can be done and who's there to help and why. I remember hearing through Dementia Friends class that 67% of caregivers end up dying before the person they're caring for because of that 24/7 unending stress. So could you kind of tell us a little bit about, I don't really care, Virginia, you're on the left, we can start there. I don't care. But if you could kind of tell us what adult daycare really truly is today for someone who doesn't really understand. You've been telling me that you're wanting to change the name of it, not call it adult day, because some people get turned off by that. So use the term that you like better, but then also kind of explain what it is for the family, what it is for the individual, and then all of y'all fill in on this too, please. So
Sure. So when you think about respite care, I was a caregiver for a few years for my mom. And so the term respite was something that I used when I talked to other families, but it was never anything that I could imagine myself when I was a caregiver, because I couldn't imagine putting my responsibility down. I just, my mom was who I cared for. But I think the term respite has evolved even to something greater now because of places like Josh and the center that we have, because adult days look so much different now. So when families come in and they visit our facilities now, there's this moment. But respite means to support. We offer support to families. And so for us in our setting, being able to help a caregiver with that healthcare coordination. So when someone is looking at all of the doctor's appointments and all of the appointments and challenges that it takes to care for their loved one, when I sit down with the family, I can sit down with them and begin to show them how we can take those burdens off of you. So you don't have to call off work. You don't have to call in sick. You don't have to miss school. You don't have to miss class. You don't have to miss your son or daughter's recital or your promotion that you are expected to be at to get at work because your mom or dad or a spouse has an appointment somewhere. So what we are finding is for respite care and for our environment is to be able to support that family member, get up underneath them, help carry the burden of caregiving, take some of that off of them. But it's sometimes even that's hard because of people like me who felt guilty for putting my mom's care on someone else. You have to kind of be crafty and very loving and tender how you come alongside someone to support them. So what we do, like I said, I am one thing I know that I'm really good at is building those relationships. So I build those relationships with those families to gain their trust and their confidence and let them know that as an adult day center, we don't like to call it care because they make it sounds more like it's childlike. So adult day is fine, but adult day center. So in our environment, we really like to just get up under that caregiver's wing and support her or him and let them know that they're not alone in their journey and help them see differently than what is in front of them. Because sometimes, you just forget that you know how to breathe and that you know how to live because you've been carrying this burden. So I think I answered the question. Chime in.
So, very good. Anybody else got something you want to add to that?
Over at Stillwaters, we try to do as much for the caregivers as we can. And, in some aspects we're limited a bit, but we try to think of what needs to be done for the guest that we can do at the center so that they don't have to do at home. So we have a hairstylist who can cut their hair, wash it, give them the set for the week or the perm, whatever they want. We have a podiatrist who comes every 3 months. We contract with a therapy company who can come in and do physical therapy, occupational therapy, so that they can do that in the center during the day and not have to take them to that appointment later. We also have a program for that will pick up after the insurance for physical therapy and occupational therapy drops off, and we call it personal wellness. And that is we coordinate that with the family and say, what are your goals? What do you want them to do? Whether it be getting stronger, walking more. It could be even, if they used to sew and they haven't been able to do that, they can sit and do that with them. It's some one-on-one interaction. We just try to think of whatever we can to make the guest's life more enriched and to make the caregiver have a little less stress. We have a caregiver support group that meets twice a month, and that gives them, a little bit of time where they can talk about their burdens and, in a safe space and just, share that and say, oh yeah, you're going through that too. Okay, well, when I did that, it was, just share those experiences because it's hard. Being a caregiver is very difficult.
Yep.
Yeah, Jim,
Yeah,
oh, go ahead, Megan.
Sorry. And to piggyback off of Miss Julie there, I think of adult day services more now as big picture. We can now do healthcare coordination, attendant care, virtual activities, again, with what Julie said, grooming, therapy, transportation. We have buses, life skills, anything like that to keep them going, recognized for what they were doing in the past, things like that. And actually with the one good thing, I guess you could say, that came out of COVID was that we were able to add on these extra services per the Division on Aging and get paid for them as far as healthcare coordination and attendant care goes. Virtual activities, however, we are trying to save past the Appendix K that was kind of what we put on for COVID time, which ends in February 2021. And so right now we are wanting to save virtual activities because not only is it important right now during COVID, but it's also important because of how, weather in Indiana changes, just like everything else, just like this virus. So, how great would it be to be able to still keep our clients doing virtual activities, keeping them sort of on their routine virtually, and get reimbursed for that, for all of the extra caring that we do for them. So
Jim, I have two things. One is back, I think, to the original question about caregivers, maybe was the question.
It started somewhere in there. Yeah.
My brain's gone in all kinds of places, but I think part of the issue is most of us as family caregivers don't self-identify as a caregiver. So we either don't know it's a thing or we don't think it's for us. I mean, if I'm caring for my uncle, then I'm just doing what I do as a niece. Maybe, I just step up. So I'm his driver, I'm his healthcare coordinator, I'm his groomer, even though that doesn't sound nearly as attractive to me as the other things. I'm his cook, like I'm all of the things, but I really just think I'm his niece and I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. And so there's talk of self-identification tools for caregivers coming in the not so distant future, which will be extremely helpful as people are kind of doing their own audit of what they're doing to care for their loved ones. The other thing is this time of COVID, none of us saw it coming for any of the reasons, right? But it has been like the best case study for us to understand our importance as adult day services. I mean, if ever anybody in this industry had a doubt about the great work that we do and how life-changing it really is, the time of COVID showed it to us firsthand. I don't know about the other centers, but I know we lost 35% of our guests at Joy's house. And we usually see people in the earlier stage, not of their diagnosis, but of the decline with the diagnosis. Usually often till later stage or end of life, but man, it happened really fast. When we closed on March 18th, like most of us did in those few months, we saw a lot of decline, both with the guest, who is the client that comes for regular care, and for their primary caregiver. So we can all say without a doubt that what we do is it's essential and critical for care.
Well, while I've got you here, I was going to ask you real quick, what do you do from your perspective? How do you, and any of you guys can fill in on this, do to educate and to support for the caregiver? What are you doing? I mean, you obviously are caring for the individual, but what are you doing to support and educate the caregiver?
Yeah, it's a lot. I think, I would probably be able to speak for the group when I say it's giving them day-to-day education, learning their particular situation and what it is that they need, because everybody's so very different. But there are some underlying things too that every caregiver needs to understand to do it effectively, whether it's learning how to transfer your loved one in and out of a car, or how to gently manipulate and redirect the situation, or get mom to take meds, or how to get a good night's sleep. There are some tricks to that, so there are things that are underlying that we can educate them about, but it's really being there for the caregiver and walking that journey with them. And sometimes it's realizing where we're not the best area for care anymore. I mean, we all on this call refer to each other over time, but sometimes we have to sit down with the caregiver and have those really hard conversations too about, listen, it's time that we really look at some long-term skilled care. For us at Joy's house, we've had quite an extensive caregiver support and education program over the last, 10 years probably. Some of those things now with COVID time are on pause. And so we're redefining what that will look like on the side of this. It's not the big retreats and support groups and things of that nature at this time. But we just revived Caregiver Crossing, which was a radio program for 7 years. And Jim, I always say, like, I felt sorry for people. We were on at 8 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday, and there were weeks that we would have up to 10,000 people listening. And I thought, how desperate must we be as people, right, as caregivers, to be up at 8 o'clock on a Saturday morning listening to a radio program about caregiving? But it just tells you we're hungry for information and we're looking for community anywhere we can get it. So we have that as a podcast now. And, for sake of anybody who's watching, you can either go to Wish TV, which is our media partner, or you can pick it up on any place that you get your podcasts. But there's some other things that we've got too, but I'll let others chime in.
There's platforms like this just making sure that we are connecting to offer opportunities to be on Zoom calls, be on webinars, educate. I love right now that because of COVID, the healthcare community has their ears, to the wind, and we're able to get in front of a lot of physicians now. Physicians that we have loved and respected in the geriatric world, they are rallying together to see what can we do to beat isolation, and how can we keep our dementia patients from sundowning more and more at home when they can't leave the house and there's no program for them. So it's platforms like this and platforms like the IADS and other opportunities that we can get in front of, and we can share, because now this is our new medium of marketing, is to get on a Zoom call or get on a webinar and shout it out. Here we are, we're here to help you. And for those that are allowing people to come into their homes and sit down, or that's not able to do a Zoom call, or a caregiver that is a millennial, we can do a Zoom call. But if a caregiver is an older adult, they may not be, Zoom savvy. So we have to be able to create some type of relationship, build some type of relationship. And that's what's so hard to figure out. How do we knock on the door of that senior caregiver's home, or how do we knock on the heart of that senior caregiver and get them to understand or see or know that we are here to help and to support them, and that there is help out there for them?
Well, I'm going to go to you, Josh, for just a second. You've got your bed and breakfast. Okay. So, which I absolutely love that term. Okay. So on your bed and breakfast, is there a minimum amount of time? How does all that work?
Yeah, so basically we have it set in different categories. So as far as, let's just start off with memory care. Memory care is all inclusive. So what we do is we do a rate. It's per day. So it's $195 per day. But again, that's with all the care 24/7, and all the meals, activities, and everything. So again, if somebody's looking for, they're gone on the weekend, they need it Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we're available. Or if somebody just needs us for a month, or 30 days, 40 days, we're there. How we set it up with assisted living is a little different. Um, we do start out with $160 a day. But again, that's with like a level one. It can change just if we need to do a little bit more levels. And then independent living, there's obviously no levels at all, but we have a lot of people that come in and say, hey, you know what? I live with my kids. They're going on a cruise, and I just want to have some interaction with other seniors. I just need, 7 days. They come in, it's typically for a 1 bedroom, 1 bath. All your meals are included for $90 a day. You can't really beat that.
Well, those prices are cheaper than me going to a B&B for myself, not counting food. So, so yes.
Exactly. And then when you have a chef that won Chef of the Year in the state of Indiana last year, it's amazing.
Now, can I come in and do this, or is this, because I've
Just
seen
come
your
on
place.
over, buddy. We're taking people.
So that might be an idea. So, Megan, you are here in 2 chairs, basically. Look like you're just in one, but you are in the day-to-day operations of an adult day center, and you also are president of the Adult Day Association. Is that correct? Can you kind of tell us more about what the association does, and obviously I know that the ladies here are probably all part of that, but what does it do for the members, and what does it do for the consumers and things like that?
Sure. Yeah. So IADS, short for the Indiana Association of Adult Day Services. We are here mainly for the providers for advocacy. This year, we, pre-COVID, we made a sort of a business plan in how are we going to advertise, market, you know, get the word out about adult day services. What can we do? Going around to all the AAAs in the state, the area aging on agency. I can't get it so tongue tied. But we go around to like SACOAs, things like that. And we're definitely really close with the Division on Aging, FSSA, trying to, again, be a forefront in decision making. I think we've been at the table a lot more frequently now. I guess just due to COVID, we are trying to get the word out, just do anything we can, kind of be the squeaky wheel that gets the grease, if you will. So, and then obviously with COVID now, it's been a huge, huge game changer with the Division on Aging. Now we are speaking with them more as far as funding goes. And like I said earlier, today we spoke with them and are getting additional funding for months of March, August, and September. So that's awesome. And then after that, we're looking towards the future, probably early spring. If I could do it, I would do it now, but I'm just really anxious about it, is accreditation. We really are concerned that, you know, because we're not licensed in the state by the Board of Health or anything, anybody can go and open up an adult day center in their condo and have a sliding glass door as their egress. And, you know, then we don't know what they're doing with, you know, their client, their participant, or anything like that. You know, of course, we hope that, you know, nothing tragic happens. And so due to that, we want to have at least an accreditation, have the backing of the Division on Aging with that, that just states that, you know, new centers will go through our accreditation process, which mimics Medicaid's process to be a Medicaid waiver provider, to go along with that. And then the Division on Aging will then approve and do their audit as well, and then approve as well. So kind of for them to be our backbone in the instance that if something, you know, tragic does happen, that we have their backing, as far as, you know, a deeper look into, you know, the situation that could have been, you know, hopefully prevented. So that's kind of where we're at right now. And then of course, like I said earlier, we are doing our first virtual conference. So we're really excited about that. And then with that, we are gearing the conference more towards caregivers, just because it is virtual this year, which is awesome, that we can expand out to the caregivers. I know on Veterans Day, is it Wednesday? Is Veterans Day? We are doing one on PTSD. I have an excellent therapist from the VA who is going to speak on PTSD and kind of the effects of PTSD pre and post COVID, as well as, you know, of course, on our military, how we can help, you know, how the caregiver can recognize signs, things like that, you know, maybe before it gets, you know, even worse. So we're really looking forward to that. And then of course, we have a lot of other great speakers on as well. So I think I answered it all.
Well, very good. Well, I was going to say real quickly, I've been in every one of your communities or your centers, and so I know what they're like. But you brought up a thing where it's not regulated, or it's not, you know, today. So how does the consumer know that they're getting one of these fine locations when they don't know what to look for? Could you help us figure out? And all of you can kick in on this one, please. So.
Right.
I've been that consumer out there. That's the reason Life's Copilot exists, is I was fed up with being that consumer. It was feeling around the dark, not knowing how to figure out what's what. So
exactly. That's why we are wanting to do this accreditation so bad.
But it's not here yet. So what happens today?
So then they can go on our website, and we have tips to look for when you do go into a center. You know, what kind of activities are going on? How are the employees, you know, interacting with the participants? You know, what's their meal situation. I mean, there's a whole list of questions on our website that can answer, what they're looking for particularly. And I think, like previously spoken, depending on your medical need as well. All of our centers are different, which are great, because my center may not be appropriate for somebody, but Joy's house may be, which is perfectly fine. We're all different. I am more of a level 3 medical model, as to where Joy's house is not. And so it's really just fits the need of what the caregiver needs as well.
Yeah, Jim, I always tell people to trust their intuition. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
walk into a place and instantly if it's someplace that you want to visit or have your loved one visit on a regular basis or not. And, my line to caregivers is always, whether it's the center that you're studying or it's the disease state or the medications, you don't need a doctorate in this. That's why there are places like all of our centers and others that are in this line of healthcare. Let us walk alongside, let us be the ones who have the experience and that knowledge. You need enough knowledge to be dangerous, but you don't need to try and get your degrees in it.
Well put.
Thank you.
Yes, and we also work real closely with the case managers as well, if they are Medicaid or VA approved. We work with the case managers to, see what is the best fit, and as maybe the disease does progress, adult day is no longer a good option for them, and or the caregiver has extreme burnout, then, obviously we refer on from there. But we are here for the caregiver. That's kind of, just like everybody else has said. I mean, we're all going to be caregivers at one point in time, if not already, and they have a huge, huge, huge responsibility. And even just the little snippet that we have here with each participant does not compare to what they have, growing up as a lifetime for them. So anyway, I mean, honestly, we become therapists as well. Sometimes we'll call them and just check on participants, see how they're doing, how's the family doing. And then we become, therapists on the phone for the next hour, which, is great. We want to help them. Like that's what we're here for. So.
Jim, if I can throw in, we've talked a lot about the caregivers. It's so interesting. Again, we've established that I've done this for a minute. And so, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, we weren't ever having conversations on a panel discussion about caregivers. And so it's interesting to see how things have changed and how important that is. I think we're all realizing like, gonna be me, we're realizing it's coming, statistically, I think it's still 1 in 3 of us is a caregiver in the United States. But what we
that's across the entire, from what I understand, 1 in 3 households right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is a caregiver for an aging loved one or someone living with a disability. The other side of what we do in adult day centers, and I'm speaking not just for Joy's house, Megan's doing an incredible job as the leader of IADS. I did that for a number of years. So Megan, if I speak out of turn, mute me, like give a sign. But I think I can say that all adult days, we fall in love with the guests who come to be with us. I mean, we are, like, you can see it on people's faces when we start talking about it. We are the reason that these guests get up in the morning, put clothes on properly most of the time, maybe brush their teeth, get themselves out into the world, because without us, they would be isolated all the time, not just because of COVID. And so, not only are we their community, I joke that we're like, anybody who remembers the show Cheers, we're like their Cheers. They walk in and we're like, hey, Jim, what's up? And we know, but I think for adult days, we know, Jim, who you are now and maybe what needs you have, like what assistance you need. Do you need help in the restroom or with your medications or walking or redirecting or calming at 3 o'clock in the afternoon when you're sundowning? But we also get to know who you've been your entire life. And I think a lot of people forget that when they see who we are now. They forget that we were once 10 or 16 or 25, and you should have watched out when we were 30. I mean, we have lived these long lives, and we at Adult Days, and I think most, senior healthcare, like we fall in love with who that is. And so we want to take the best care of you and your family.
Well, that kind of leads to this. It's like the things that you guys are doing for the physical and mental health of your clients. I think that that's, could you kind of expound on some of the different things that you're going through? Because, I know that if they're isolated, well, an example, this is a very sad story. I just find it very heartbreaking. And it was a COVID related story, I believe. Okay. I'm not a doctor, so I'm just giving my theory. Okay. But it was a client that we have been contracted with Caring Transitions to help them, downsize, move, estate sales, what have you. And her husband was in memory care. And so every day she would drive to see him all day long and then come home. And that was her life for a period of time. COVID hit, and then she got locked in her house and never walked out the door again till 2 weeks ago when she went to memory care herself. Okay. And initially it was going to be assisted living. Even in the process of when we were scheduling the appointment to move her, she went from we're going to go assisted living. No, we're not. We're going to go to memory care. Okay. And I think that it was the isolation that did it to her. Okay. I mean, you guys see this on a more regular basis, and I know you have much more experience, on the other side of this. Could you kind of expand to people what when someone may be trying to protect their family member at home and not let them out the door because they're trying to take care of them because Regina, they believe it's their job and nobody else can do it. What are they robbing them of with that you could be getting? And all of you, please, fill in on this. So.
Yeah, so, just funny you shared the story. I just had a situation that I'm working with a family today where, it's the family, or they live in an assisted living, and the husband is very late stage Alzheimer's, but he's still eloping and confused and don't know who his wife is, and and she's in a wheelchair. There's quite a difference in their height and weight and things like that, and so he's can be combative. And so I said to her the other day, I said, I know this is probably gonna sound strange. I said, but why don't you increase his days at the center? And she goes, what's that gonna do for me? I said, it's gonna give you a break. I said, instead of him peeing in your plants, he can pee in ours. Because we are accustomed to that, or we can clean it up faster than you can. Instead of him taking all of your silverware out of your kitchen drawers, I have some silverware he can play with here, so she didn't understand that. And she's just like, well, that's just going to be more of a burden on you guys. I was like, well, that's what we're here for. We're here to help carry your burden. And so sometimes, like I said, caregivers don't know. I like what you said, Tina, earlier about the new assessment that's coming out when you need to identify as a caregiver. Sometimes a caregiver, a wife doesn't consider herself a caregiver. She's a wife. And that is her duty, because when she said in sickness and in health, that's the part she is right now. She's in right now, and she doesn't see it as a caregiver. And so what we are able to do by the grace of God is have those conversations with them, and just to bring the caregiver down from their anxiousness and from their anxiety and from their being overwhelmed, and show them a brighter light, a different way. And so increasing this person's day in our environment gives her the respite care that she needs, the nap that she wants to take so desperately in the afternoon because he does not sleep at night, or the fact that she can go to sleep and not worry about if he's wandered out and down the hallway. And then they, like I said, they live in an assisted assisted living community that has memory care, but right now they're not accepting any memory care patients because of COVID. So they moved into an environment thinking, oh, we can migrate from one situation to the other should these things arise. And now COVID has set in, and I can't even move my loved one into memory care. So because they have a hold on receiving new residents and within memory care. So just being able to be there for a caregiver and walk them through as much as we can and offer them hope as a caregiver, as a loved one for a loved one. That's huge. That is really huge. And that's all of our responsibilities. And, I think we all have the same, we all have these huge hearts where, if we could reinvent the wheel and do this thing and have them all there and believe that we wouldn't get COVID, I think we would. We just open our doors up and have no barriers.
To piggyback off Regina, with that gentleman spending more days at the center, he's going to be more stimulated, and he's going
Yes.
to have, his brain is going to have
Yeah.
more activity, so that when he goes home, he will sleep better.
Yeah.
And the wife will be able to, like you said, rest during the day and then sleep at night, and actually maybe have some quality time at dinner and then a little bit of time afterwards. And it's very difficult to be a wife and a caregiver at the same time. You can do it for a while, but it becomes almost impossible, or a husband and a caregiver at the same time. And
Absolutely.
for them to come to our centers and have that socialization, that stimulation, that time with other people and doing activities, and then coming home and, having that rest time and that more of that, just not so, wild time. It's just, it's good for everybody.
I remember a story was told to me about a caregiver who just desired a kiss from her husband, and he didn't understand what it even meant to give this kiss back. But in order to draw him to her lips, she put chocolate lipstick or some chapstick on her lips, and this person loved chocolate, and so because he smelled the chocolate on her breath, it drew him to her breath. I thought that was the most amazing story. I will forever tell that story, because just to want to kiss your spouse again after having lost that due to this awful disease. We come up with all kind of ways to bear the burden.
Where there's a will, there's a way. That's our adult day.
Or where there's heat, there's fire.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, that's the awesome thing about adult day service, is not only can we be consistent, we can slow down the aging process as much as we can, with them being at the centers, but then also it's the connection with the people that, other participants that are there. I know we've seen at our center many, many times where, we've have, a couple of ladies who, were friends 20, 30 years ago and then just lost touch. They both come back, to the center because, they live around the same area. And it's like their long lost, best friend is back. And, then it's so wonderful to hear all of the background stories, and for those people to reconnect their friendships back again is awesome.
Where do you guys see the future going right now with 2021 COVID? What's going on in that whole world? Tina, do you have any insight after 21 years of doing this, where it's heading now?
Dude, I didn't see this whole year coming. Yeah, like 2021, is it here yet? Is it like it's going to be some magic pill, right? 2020,
Yeah.
Everything's going to be great. Yeah, I think anybody who, by the way, somebody not too long ago said, well, adult days, you're not healthcare, right? And I was like, come spend a day with us. Then we will talk. But I think anybody who's in this area of healthcare knows that, we're all doing the best we can right now, Jim. I'm not answering the question about long-term yet, but right now we're all doing the very best we can to be here to serve families that need us. And so if someone thinks that it's hard during COVID regulation time to put a mask on their, like for me to put a mask on myself when I'm out, it's hot and I don't want to put it on, I can't see your expression and yada, yada, yada. Now give me dementia, I promise you it's going to be 1,000 times harder. So, and that's not, the only diagnosis that we see with the people we love, but it's a really, really challenging time. So like everybody in the world, I hope that we will be able to say 2021 will see us on the other side of COVID. But I think it's going to make us I mean, I'm not trying to be cup half full, but I do think it's going to make us better in a lot of ways. I think we get stuck in our culture of bigger is better and more is better. And, and I think it's made us all pause and realize that's not the case. And for us in this industry, one life is worth all the effort that we put out. And so it'll be interesting to see and make it. I don't know if you have any insight on that, but as an industry, what the COVID experience is going to do to us. I mean, do you agree or disagree with what I said?
Oh yeah, I completely agree. And we are currently conducting our center surveys too as well, trying to gather that information of pre and post COVID, because it is fascinating. Just like what you said earlier, we had about 30 of our participants pass due to COVID, which is, oh my Lord, heart-wrenching. So, I mean, yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see what's the future holds. I am very hopeful for it, because, like we've said in the past, I think with all of the stuff that we can do, yeah, we're a congregate setting, but for good reasons. And we can do more than just sit down and play bingo. So,
Yes.
so yeah, I mean, I hope
now you're not knocking bingo. I want to make sure that we're all in agreement that bingo still rocks, right?
Bingo rocks. And
Okay.
oh my gosh, if we didn't have bingo,
Right.
but we do more than just that.
You didn't have
That's
bingo,
right.
you wouldn't have a virtual activity.
That's right.
Yes.
Jim, for us, I know that 2021 is going to bring a lot of deep dive into what we are doing for caregivers. I mean, you and I have talked about Life's Co-Pilot and Joy's House, and all of you, we will soon be bringing you into the fold on this, but we will be, if all the stars align the way that they are supposed to right now, launching a digital platform that I think you and I are going to be able to hold hands, if that's not too weird.
I think so. Yeah.
Whole thing. But
Virtually.
I mean, it's really, virtually hold it right, because we don't want to touch but that will be good for all of us. I mean, that's another great thing about the adult day industry, at least in Indiana, is that we're team players. I don't think you're going to hear any one of us say we're better than the others at something else, because that would be just an ignorant thing to say.
Yes.
We have, Megan said, we all have our niches that we focus on, or there might be something that we have an edge on others, but we're really quick to say, hey, Stillwaters, here's something we've been doing, and we think that you might want to try it too. I mean, so it's a very friendly, supportive industry. I cannot imagine doing anything else for a living. I mean, for crying out loud, if I can stay around for another 21 years, I will. It's just lovely. So I would say to anybody who's watching that's a caregiver, just call any of us at any time to inquire. And if we're not the right fit, we're not going to try. One of my coworkers said, it's not like hey, got a mom, need some care for $19.95, I mean, it's not like that.
We're on sale today.
right? But buy one,
get one.
off. I mean, but it's a very much, if you need care, we want to figure out how to get you the care that you need. And if it's not us, we're going to call any of these ladies or gentlemen on the phone, or any others that we know to hook you up and get you in the room.
Yes, and that's the good thing about adult day services. We're very versatile. We are very go with the flow. We change with the times. I don't know a whole lot of other communities or industries that do that. I mean, it's so hard just to change what you're doing just in your own life, but then trying to change a company. I mean, but adult day services, we say, no one day is the exact same. Everything happens differently, and you just got to go with it. That's what makes it fun and exciting too.
And I think we are in a great time to just kind of reset ourselves as an industry, not to cast any type of dispersion on long-term care, but the whole goal of adult days period is to increase a person's ability to stay home. And so that's what we do, and that's what we do well. And we want to continue to do it well. And we have to find those opportunities, to keep our loved ones, those that want to remain home and those that have requested that, we do everything within our power to prevent the rehospitalization and to reduce long-term care stay for those who don't desire to be in long-term care. So
Mhm.
Well, we're running close to the end of our time. Does anybody have anything that you've been wanting to scream from the rooftops for a long time? Here's your chance. Go for it. So anybody got something that if you could get a hold of somebody, shake them out of the lapel and go, here's something you need to know, but go for it. if
I
you
mean,
want.
here would be my closing word is
Okay.
when you're a caregiver, you need to drop any pride you have.
Mhm.
Pride is just a poison anyway, you know, for any of us, but accept people's help. It's how they show you love, and reach out and ask questions, and don't apologize for advocating for not only your loved one, because that's easier to advocate for somebody else, but also advocating for yourself. So just know you don't have to walk it alone.
yep,
Anybody else?
good right
Well,
there.
let me go to our screen share real quick. I want to show you what's coming up. And we just had a phenomenal one today. On the 29th, one of our Life co-pilot members, the Shepherd Center up in Hamilton County, is having a virtual fundraiser. That is on the 29th. And then the 12th, I got to tell you right now, I just get it loaded in here. We already have our panel. I'm waiting on one person to confirm, and then I'll broadcasting it. But I'm really excited about it. It's about senior safety. So I've got the fire chief from Carmel. I've got the police chief from Carmel. I've got one of the people that deals with fraud and all that kind of stuff with the Attorney General's office from state of Indiana. That'll all be on here. I think that's going to be a real good one. I'm excited about that. And on the 24th, we're doing one on what is senior living today, you know, how much is different than what people think it is. We have a whole panel of senior living specialists, you know, people in the communities to talk about that. So I'm looking forward to that. You can always go to Life's Co-Pilot and go to events and see what's coming up. So let me get back. So guys, thank you for coming. It's just like every single one. It's like I always feel like we could go another hour, you know. So, but this video, I will, once it's into a YouTube, I'll send it to each of you to use as you please. But it'll be on Life's Co-Pilot. You can get on there and see it on our Life's Co-Pilot Facebook page. Now it's been running the whole time, and then we'll have the YouTube one. Will go back on the Life's Co-Pilot video library as well. So look forward to seeing you all soon, and thank you so much for sharing the evening with us here. So,
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Jen.
bye, y'all.
Thank you.
Everyone.
All right, everybody.
Bye.